Ah, yes, the White Sox. A disappointing team
Boy,
still at this moment in time.
is this a spiral? I just said I was worried about the Tiger spiral. Are you worried
Uh,
about your Chicago White
no, I'm
Sox
not worried
spiraling?
about a spiral.
All
Their
right,
toughest part of the schedule is right now is
it
the month
is.
of April. So I'm not
You
gonna,
got a couple more weeks of this shit.
yeah, I'm not gonna overreact. I am going to, however, start off this segment with Wrath of Hahn, and
Whoa.
this week's Wrath of Hahn is going to be the $100 million investment to the bullpen that continues to fail the White Sox.
Mm.
And let me put it in perspective, everyone. The White Sox have led or been tied in the sixth inning of later 12 times this year. They have 7 wins out of those 12
Wow.
games.
They're over
Well,
500.
that's not even 7. That's not even actually, that's not even 7 wins out of those games. They have 7 wins total.
Yeah, that's right.
So they would, if the bullpen could have done their job, they would be over 500 right now. But the bullpen
Mm.
cannot do their job. Yes, is Liam Hendricks not there? Sure. Did Joe Kelly get dumbass injury of the week last week? Sure. But you know,
Aaron
eh,
Bummer.
eh, Aaron Bummer, he gets some bad luck sometimes. He has more. I think he continues to lead the league in ground ball ratio, but it's like they make so little contact that he ends up with 2 or 3 runners on swinging bunts. But but
That's
yesterday,
bad luck.
that is really bad luck. He does have some of the worst luck. But yesterday, that was not the case, as the Sox got their one victory of the series as they continue not to be able to win a series. But Lucas Giolito, which in honor of him, I'm wearing the Lucas Giolito no hitter, turned in a vintage performance
He had a
yesterday.
no hitter.
He had a no hitter through 6 innings. His pitch count was up there. Grafal did the right thing, took him out.
Yeah. He
No
was at
reason.
I think he was at 100. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
kind of a no brainer.
102 is a
Okay.
no brainer. It was
They did
not
have a
a,
no hitter. So that's the right t shirt to be wearing.
yes. That's why I did that. But so it gets turned over to the bullpen, and Graveman does his job, and then Bummer
That's
comes in.
surprising.
The Bummer comes in and on the first pitch lets up a double,
I heard
and
the booze. I was watching that at the
the no
time.
hitter is over, and the bullpen couldn't even get 9 straight outs in a row to preserve a no
Mm,
hitter. But the good news is they didn't let up any runs, so that's a win there. And
there you go.
the one highlight of that series, of the Philly series, another team who's got a couple guys out of the lineup. No Bryce Harper there. Forget one of their starting pitchers is injured right now too. So, but the Phillies were able to take care of business and win 2 out of 3. To add to the Wrath of Hahn, we were talking last episode how we were anticipating Eloy Jimenez and Yohan Moncada coming back to the lineup, and Yohan Moncada ended up on the IL, which I don't
Mm.
believe we talked about last. I
We
don't think
talked. No, we didn't. We were speculating that they were both coming back for the weekend
because we did a Sox type thing on
on
its own.
Thursday.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Thursday. So Eloy came back. Mancada goes on the IL, and then right behind Mancada is one of his third base backups. Hanser Alberto ends up with a hamstring pull, and he's on the IL. So
Going
the
going
IL
back to
list,
the
the goodness.
Moncada IL, like he had a back issue prior to that, and they downplayed it. Like they downplay everything, it seems like, and yet he ends up on the IL. And it's just I just don't believe. Like I think I posted on Twitter, like when they said, "Oh, he's day to day, should be back in next game or whatever," however they
Yeah,
phrased it. But I think I posted like, "Well, when's the Moncada to the IL announcement?" And it was 2 days later. It's like, why? I don't understand why they have to downplay everything. Why? Like there's always confusion. It's never correct. Like their synopsis of it. It's always worse.
well, I mean,
Except for Eloy, actually, ironically, Eloy came back sooner than they had originally said. So I was surprised by that.
yeah, I mean, some of it could be simply roster movement. pulling Eloy off and putting Mankata on. Retroactive, his was retroactive because they moved it back to,
But
since he hadn't played.
But the way they phrased it, you and I on the last show for Sox type thing, we thought Mankata had a good chance of being back by that weekend, and instead he's on the IL, which is the complete opposite. So
yeah,
I guess I don't understand the messaging.
Well, the messaging was I'll tell you, the messaging that was given was that, when they looked at him again, they'd rather not give him the position of being able to come back and play until he doesn't. Grafal said they don't want him out there at 80%. They want him out there at 95, 100%. So
all right,
that was the answer. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think,
it's just confusing
but I don't
messaging,
think,
I guess.
But I don't think they can come out and say, well, we just want to. We want to wait to put him on the IL until Eloy comes off because of,
I guess they can say whatever they want
and
of course,
stuff like that. So
they can do
I
and say
think
anything they want. I just find the consistent mixed messaging confounding, and that's up to them. They can do that, but I just think I find it frustrating. But maybe that's because we run a White Sox podcast and we don't have all the information. So
yeah,
I think Sox fans would find that frustrating as well. But
yeah, I mean, it's annoying when you, like you said, we're talking about both Eloy and Mankata are going to be back, and then it's like Eloy's been activated, Mankata to the IL, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it is.
Well, at least Eloy is back. I'm trying to put that positive spin.
As soon as he figures out how to fucking hit again.
Well, now he can't. Yeah, he's back, but he can't hit. So is he not feeling right?
Well, he's running fine. I mean, he's had RBIs. He's just not hitting the ball in the park yet. Well, Andrew Vaughn had the same issue. He had 12 RBIs going in today's game, and then finally got his first homer of the year. So
wow,
he's, I think, up to 15 RBIs now. But that brings up the perfect segue for what I wanted to go into next was the offense. And despite the results of the record, besides the record right now,
besides what counts,
the one sunny side of this whole thing is the White Sox offense right now. The one downside is the White Sox pitching, both a mix of inconsistent starts and terrible bullpen. But they are trending upward from last year in the offensive department. They are top 10 in a lot of offensive categories, second in doubles, like 7 in average. It's actually interesting because the Cubs and Sox, Cubs are near the very top in a lot of categories, including OPS. But it's interesting to just see both their names like in the top 10. It's such a rare moment there. And the offense has, like I said, for the most part, they're averaging 4.5 runs a game, with the so-called pitching staff that's been assembled is doing their job. That equals wins to me. So I'm hopeful that some sort of turnaround happens, but a fun game was this past Saturday, where
you were there.
Game time decision is one way to put it.
Pete at the park. I think I influenced that decision.
We were recording
episode 120 of In the Hole, got done with the show. It was a beautiful day. It was at least a beautiful day in Michigan here. It sounded like it was equally, if not better weather there in Chicago. So I think I twisted your arm. Like, you should go to a goddamn baseball game.
Yeah, we went. I got pretty drunk. I mean, it was nice. And the Sox had a walk-off winner.
I mean, you need to go to more games, clearly. Although you have experienced like a 12-3 drubbing at the same time this year.
It's interesting with me and pitchers, because remember last year I saw like the only wins that Velasquez had.
Yeah, that's right. The Vance Velasquez invasion,
including like a win over the Yankees or some crazy shit. It was
ridiculous.
But then, like, I saw Cease have his worst outing of the year when he got like killed by like 12 runs. So I see Kopech get murdered in my first game, but then he bounced back and pitched a pretty good game in the game I was at.
So you have no influence over the destiny of Michael Kopech.
I think I do. I think I make him better.
You just had bad juju the first time and good juju the second time?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I came in with a more positive attitude for some reason. the second time.
You're probably drinking more beer the second time.
So I certainly was. There wasn't a sober fan in the house, as you could tell from the fights that occurred.
There were some fights, and I misunderstood one of the fight scenes I saw. It was definitely in the infield after you were sending me drunk texts telling me how great the outfield was, but it looked terrifyingly dangerous. Of course, somehow the infield is more dangerous than the outfield, which is usually not the case. But
have you seen the footage of how that whole scrum started?
No, of course, on social media. I mean, if people aren't aware that you can find it, there was a rather significant brawl in the stands at Sox Park on Saturday. It was mainly, it seemed like the center of it was several females.
Right, and I can explain that.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, let me know what the hell happened.
So the female who was closer to the field, like maybe 5 rows down, like,
is this the one in camouflage pants?
Or no, that's the one with the black jersey on.
Okay.
And I don't know. You can't hear
Paul Konerko jersey.
Yeah, you probably. You can't hear on the footage what she says or what she turns around and says, but it causes the camouflage woman to throw something and hit her in the head.
Oh, wow.
And then the melee ensued.
Some kind of statement. Yeah. I guess I could see why, but
the funniest thing on Twitter was like, put her at second base. Sign her for second base.
So you guys are in mid-season form out there.
Yeah, and then it just turned into a scrum that apparently White Sox security just wanted nothing to do with.
And we've seen that.
They just let them like fight it out.
Yeah, we've seen that at Wrigley. We've seen that in many cases where there is a security presence, but they're as apathetic as anyone, just watching. The other thing I find funny about those fights is there were like families sitting right next to the aisle where this is all going down, and they were just like kind of just trying to pay attention to the game. They weren't even worried about bodies falling on them, punches being thrown all around them. If you look at the people around, that's almost as fun to watch as the participants in the brawl itself. Anytime you see that, so you always wonder what the mindset is of everyone in the video. But of course, those videos start after the melee has begun, because I'm not sure why you'd be recording people before they fight. But so you don't ever know the full context. So it's good that you add some context to the situation. But
I'm trying to figure out why someone filmed this person throwing.
Well,
said
you gotta wonder.
I don't even know what the item was at her, and I'm like, how did someone? Why are you just randomly filming the game?
It could have been random. They could have been filming something, an at bat, and then they heard a commotion and turned the camera to the crowd. You never know how that works out.
Yeah.
Was it a plant? Was it all?
Maybe.
They're trying to just go viral. It was all a ruse.
It was all a ruse. It was Cubs
pretty real to me.
Trying to give the park a bad name.
It was they were plants from the north side, clearly bulls.
I'm kidding. But Oscar Colas, rookie Oscar Colas, had the walk-off winner. He blasted a ball. Probably took about 2 seconds to get to the right field wall. I mean, it was a laser over the head of a pulled in outfield, because there's a runner at third with the extra inning rule. But someone who we'll talk about a little bit later too is Jake Burger has made the most of his playing time, as he's had 4 home runs over the last week, including one in that game. And
at one point he had 5 home runs and 26 at bats.
Yeah,
which is pretty damn good.
Yeah, he has been killing the ball. He had another one last night, and this is what we heard about Jake Burger, is his unbelievable power. And
well, we're definitely going to get to that. Yeah, of the week.
I'm not gonna say much more about it, other than
he's a badass.
The White Sox have a good problem when Mancata comes back, but it's like what you obviously have to play Mancata because he's been playing great and he's better defensively, but where does Berger rotate into this? Because you have basically a full-time DH outside of risking losing him.
How many full-time DHs do you have? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. We have 3.
Yeah.
Sheets, Berger. Well, Berger can play.
He can play, but you've got better defensive players than he. He'd be a perfect DH if you didn't have so many DHs already. So.
Yeah, and Eloy continues to be before he does anything else to ruin his value, continues to be the blue chip where you could get something back that you really need more than a DH.
I think that ship has sailed. Like, I mean, the injury issues. Maybe we should do a whole segment about what should be done with Eloy, because that is confounding.
But
I mean, the time to trade him was before all these injury issues really surfaced. But then you didn't want to. I mean, he was on pace for hitting 40 home runs a year, but he can't do that if he's not on the field. So
yeah, his 162 game average, they said the other day, is like 42 home runs.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But like
it's over 5 seasons though.
Yeah, exactly. How do you get to 162? Play 5 years.
Anyway, the least of the White Sox problems is their offense this year. So I remain Lucas Giolito's outing. I'm not going to make too much out of it. It's one outing.
I think we are going to put him in the badass of the week.
But he definitely looked vintage Giolito. But one outing does not mean all problems are solved. So we'll see how that goes. But speaking of pitchers, someone who had been pretty solid until today was Mike Clevinger, who had to leave after the 3rd inning after 75 pitches and 3 earned runs.
He's been pretty damn good all season for you guys, though. This is like the first shaky outing.
But I wonder if, maybe he was a little mentally shaken, Smitty, by something you wanted to talk about, the gold digger conspiracy.
Honestly, I don't want to talk about this. It sucks that we have to talk about this. Mike Clevinger decided that we all need to talk about this. We, like we said, he had been off to a pretty good start this season for you guys. His domestic violence controversy investigation, however you want to term it, had largely gone away. We hadn't been talking about it. Even assholes like us hadn't been talking about it. He had been pitching, and that was the story. Baseball was the story, and he'd been pitching well, so we'd kind of all forgotten about it until last Friday night when he had his first home start for your Chicago White Sox, where the pitcher gets to pick his walk-on music, or whatever they call it, walk-out music.
Walk-out, maybe?
For the pitcher, and he chose Kanye West's Gold Digger, which anyone paying attention knew exactly why that was chosen, as he chose to take a dig at his ex-partner. I don't know if they were married or what the situation is, but the whole controversy over the summer and winter into this spring, he chose to make a public mockery of her by playing that song, and it's obvious what he was doing. And somehow the White Sox let it happen, and that's the real problem. Whether they didn't understand, pitchers get to do whatever the hell they want, especially $1 million athletes get to do whatever they want. So it'd be hard for an intern or whoever to tell Clevinger he cannot play this song for whatever reason. Right. So I'm not sure how that works, but for him to decide to play that, just to get a dig into his ex-partner, is disgusting. And he's an idiot, because we were done talking about this. Like no one was talking about it. It was over. He should have claimed victory because he didn't get suspended. He does have to go to some kind of counseling, but it's a very minor penalty that he eventually has to serve now. So he won, and yet he still had to get his dig in to her. And really, it's a mockery of any domestic violence accuser or sufferer that it's just unbelievable that this shit was allowed to happen. So I didn't even know about it. It was Friday. I think we recorded in the hole the next day, so we weren't even talking about the White Sox, but it came up on Inside the Clubhouse and on Hit and Run, both on 670 The Score over the weekend, and it was talked about a lot more after that during the week. But but I mean, it's not funny, but the irony is this isn't the first time there has been a domestic violence incident that was also exacerbated by a song being played at Sox Park. As I don't remember what year it was, but when Chuck Finley famously married to Tawny Katane. I mean, this is old school right here. Tawny Katane, famous for the Whitesnake video, dancing on the Jaguar or whatever hell car that was. Was married or whatever to Chuck Finley, who famously had a domestic dispute where I believe she drove her spiked high heel through his foot. That placed him on the eye. That became news because he had to be placed on the IL or DL at the time because of this injury. I guess I'm laughing here. I shouldn't be, but the idea that then when he pitched for the first time in Sox Park, someone played "Here I Go Again"
during his warm-ups. Yes,
yeah, to openly mock him. That whoever made that decision was subsequently fired.
Yes,
mind you. So I don't know. That just came to mind immediately when I heard this. So it is not. How many years ago was that now? Do you even know?
That's in the 90s.
It was the 90s?
Yeah, it's in the 90s, and fans had high heels with them that they were shaking at them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
okay.
The love for any Central Division team is never good. So
yeah, he was with the Indians at the time.
Yeah, he was with the Indians at the time. But I think what Clevinger did was just stupid. But I also wonder because by him getting coverage about it, by people asking about it, by us talking about it, by real where hundreds of thousands of people listen to outlets talking about him, or maybe millions, we've all done what he wanted. The bigger news would have been not to bring it up. So we've essentially...
So we're giving him more attention for negativity or that he thinks he's vindicated because of this?
Right. And
you think okay,
he got what he wanted.
He's outsmarting all of us.
No. What I'm saying is
that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, well, he got what he wanted.
So he outsmarted us.
Gold Digger could have been played and everyone could have just dismissed it and life would have gone on. There's going to be no he's not going to get in trouble for anything because he can say whatever he wants. He pleaded the fifth with it. So
well, he also didn't want to answer any questions about it. In fact, he was a dick about that as well. When he was asked about it, why did you play this song? He's like, well, he asked the reporter, "Are you a music producer?" No, I didn't think so. I will answer baseball questions only. So
there you go. See,
yeah, he's trying to be smarter than all of us, and I just think he's being a dumbass. The cool thing that the Score did, Matt Spiegel and Parkins did, they took him up on that and actually interviewed a music producer about the situation. I'm not sure if you heard this.
I read about it. Yeah.
You're aware of who Steve Albini is,
yes.
The famous Chicago punk, industrial, indie rock maven, who's also a music producer, produced such albums as Nirvana's In Utero, probably the most famous one. He did several others, but he was interviewed by Spiegel and excoriated him, of course, and brought up and essentially just Clevinger and jock culture in general for their misogynist and specifically this situation. So I thought it was perfect way to come back at that. Actually have a music producer who's also a large baseball fan and knows what's going on react to this. So to think that Clevinger is outsmarting anyone, I think is that him thinking that he's outsmarting anyone, I think is ridiculous. So I don't know. We didn't want to make him asshole of the week again because we've already given him too much content. Like you said, he's outsmarted us because we're talking, you and I, because we're talking way too much about it, and he gets away with anything he wants, and he's a multimillionaire. So you win, Mike Clevinger, I guess.
All right. I think on
That
that note, we'll move along to the.
Can we just never talk about Mike Clevinger again unless it's just baseball? I just feel like he's going to keep doing this
fine.
shit.
I didn't want to talk about this. You gave it to me on the list, so.
But don't we had to talk about this. I mean, it's not like I wanted to.
I mean, I do love the song Gold Digger. I'm a big fan of it.
Word Hole Media.